Carbos USA. Yeah!
This is Car Bros Podcast, episode 23.
So the big 2, 3.
Big 2, 3.
Are we going to keep doing that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I think we're going to do
The
it.
big 227.
We can beat that dead horse until whatever.
Yeah. Welcome back. Yeah, it is weird. Like, I look at some podcasts, they're like, episode number 1026. Like, part of me kind of hopes we aren't doing it.
Do you think well, I guess we don't have to technically say the
Yeah,
episode
maybe we'll
number.
stop at 99 or something.
Yeah.
Once we
Yeah,
get
welcome
there.
back. Whatever.
Yeah. You know what episode this is.
Welcome back. Thank you for being here, fellow Car Bros. Hello to our patrons right off the bat.
Yep. Especially a very special patron who
Especially a very special patron, Jesse, who mailed us a 12-pack of Mike's assortment. Mike's hard
variety pack of Mike's hard lemonade.
Across state lines.
Across state lines, which I'm pretty sure is illegal. It felt illegal as I opened the box. Felt kind of weird just opening a box.
It's okay. The government's shut down. There's
That's
no prosecution.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that. They are
It's really taking me back to high school.
excellent. Yeah.
Wait, tell your Mike's Hard story.
So me and some other friends, not these two Mikes, but we would just randomly have like Mike's days on like a Friday usually. And we would go, our high school was in a bad part of town, you could say. And so the liquor stores there didn't really card kids. And so we would just go and pick up like a 12-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade, ditch school, and then go to a shopping center and just walk around drinking Mike's Hard Lemonade all day.
John was the troubled youth.
It was a very...
Yes. We were very studious.
Yeah. We were more into our books.
Yeah, we were more doing calculations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Hello to the rest of our patrons.
Yes.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah, the ones that didn't send us alcohol across state
yeah, you guys
lines.
are also pretty good. If you are not a patron and you'd like to become one of the select few, you can sign up by clicking the link in the description or Googling Car Bros Patreon. If you have no intention of being a patron, take a moment to thank the people who are supporting this podcast because they are really the ones who are mostly keeping it going. So thank you all. Hello to the rest of you also. Freeloaders. Yeah. So last week, the Supra was dropped.
Yes.
And
We did a
Mike and John did a little impromptu.
little quick.
To be very hip and current. And I watched
We thought we were going to be the only ones talking.
Yeah.
yeah.
Surprising.
I was not a part of that. I got to watch it fuming. As my viewpoint was not represented.
The takes were just boiling.
Yeah. But now that it's been a week or several years, depending on when you're watching this or listening to it, we thought we'd like retouch on it a little bit. Now that we've had a chance for our emotions
It's really soaked in.
now that it's soaked in the reality of the car.
Yeah, you can start since you were not part of the
Yeah, so
special.
here I'm going to tell you the whole like arc of my feelings about this car, and it really, I will just say that I think it's fine.
It starts when Mike was a small boy.
Yeah.
When I was 12, I think on the one hand, I like that car a lot. I like that it exists. And there's a part of me that's like, I purposely avoided reading anything on the internet. Really still, because I was just like, I know all the things. I know the specs.
Sure.
I don't give a shit what the takes are. I don't need to listen to, a bunch of people yammering on about it, which I'm about to do. But it sounds like it's getting kind of like quite a bit of hate.
Yes.
Generally.
The majority of it is negative.
Mixed opinion.
Yeah.
You're either like cool with it or like you hate it for a number of reasons. And there's a part of me that's like, what do people want? It's a fucking Supra. They made a Supra. They made it again. The thing people have been crying about for like 2 decades. They made it. They made a Supra.
But it's not a Toyota, bro.
And it's a twin turbo straight 6 and it looks dope as hell. It's like, what do you want? Like, what the fuck? They made a new Supra.
It's really starting this out with some vibe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, it's not, Toyota didn't cast the block. Like, who gives a fuck? God. And so it's like there's all these people going on and on about how it's like, oh, it's not a Toyota, it's a BMW. First of all, it's a BMW underneath. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
if you're going to collaborate with a company, it's like, it's BMW. It's not Hyundai
Kia.
or like Kia or something. So it's like, there's a big part of me that's like, dude, they picked a great company to work with. They picked a company who was already making a sports car, and apparently from the early reviews of the Z4 did a great job on that thing. I mean, BMW is like at their peak right now in a lot of ways, like maybe not styling or whatever. But they're turning out some really solid cars. And so there's a part of me that's like, they made a Supra and it's based on this really cool thing. Like, what more did you want? Like, really? Some people were like, it doesn't have a 3JZ. Like, really? Really?
They could just call that motor up.
Yeah, they might as well have. That motor's good. I think a lot of people don't know much about it, but it's like, that motor is kind of a beast.
Yeah,
it's not the M3 motor,
It's
but
pretty.
it's like,
It's even kind of established.
yeah, this is like third generation turbo for BMW, and there's already people getting like 600 to the wheels on that thing, which who gives a shit really about tuning
Still,
anymore?
yeah.
Like, really? You still care?
It's not really the 90s.
Yeah. There is also a part of me that like, there's some criticism where it's like, when the Supra came out, it was like as fast as a Ferrari of the day. And it just sort of like threw down the gauntlet.
Kind of put Toyota on the map.
It was a strong effort. There was an opportunity, and they seized it with the Mark IV. At least they've all been fine, but the Mark IV is the one that everyone really cares about. People say Supra, they actually don't give a shit about any of them except for the Mark IV. Yeah. But it's like, do you really think they're going to make a Supra that competes with a 488?
Yeah, that seems kind of out of the realm.
Ferrari is not what they were in the early 90s. They weren't 10 steps in front of everyone else like they are today. It's like they're untouched. The landscape is different. Ferrari is untouchable basically now, and everyone else makes insane cars. They're not, there's just no way that thing would have had to have had like 800 horsepower. Like, the landscape has changed
to even
like,
be in that neighborhood.
It's just not going to happen anymore. So it's like, there is a part of me that was like, would you people settle down, because they made a car and it's great. And like, other than the lack of manual transmission, I still think that's a huge oversight. And I think they will come out with one, because that's just so stupid to not include it. But it's like, they made it and it seems great. And it's like, it's based on a luxury sport coupe. It's like, it's fine. It's a Supra, whatever. And so that's kind of how I started. I actually liked the thing quite a bit, because I think it looks really good. I think styling wise, they, as close as knocking something out of the park as you can get. I personally think they did a really good job with that thing. I wish it was a little bigger. I don't like that it's so small, but like the proportions and all that look good. But a week later, here is my, this is what did it for me. This is what turned me a little negative. It sounds like, as we learn a little bit more, Toyota, the majority of what they did was the styling.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like they
suspension probably a little bit.
I kind of don't even think.
I think like minor, spring
like tweaks.
Yeah. And so it's like it sounded like they tried to spin it early on.
I think it's kind of like the difference, like the BRZ and the 8.6.
Yeah,
they're the same car, but tuned slightly different. Right. It kind of sounds like it's sort of like
plus
that.
bodywork. Drastically different bodywork.
Right.
But they sort of made it sound like we started with like a
blank sheet.
Like a couple boxes defined in like AutoCAD, and then like went our separate ways. And it's like, no, this thing is like, if you strip the body panels off, it sounds almost identical.
Right.
The majority of the components are shared, which is kind of a bummer. That part starts to sink in, and it's like, that's a bit of a bummer. Like, which part? And all of the media and press that I've read coming out of Toyota, they did I don't know if you guys know a ton about Reddit. And it's weird, Reddit is like the 6th most trafficked site on the internet, but most people like don't
Yeah.
read it. It's kind of weird.
I
It's
actually
kinda
thought it
like
would be
something.
higher than 6, but yeah, I know it's pretty popular.
But Reddit will do something. It's basically just a forum. Reddit is like a giant forum
for everything.
for everything, and they will do something called an Ask Me Anything.
Yeah.
Right. Where people just the idea is like ask me anything, and I'll answer it. You can just ask me, and like a lot of times they'll have cool people on there, Bill Gates, and it's like you ask them stuff and they'll answer. And so they did like Toyota Supra, ask us anything kind of thing, and they answered like 10 questions because the majority of them
I actually
were like
saw on
kind of negative.
like after they
I think it was day of.
like I remember I saw the other day like on Toyota's official Facebook page, they posted and all the things are like, how come there's no stick, and like this is just a BMW, and like they had these just like canned replies. It was like, we've put our own little touch on it. And And then like when they asked like, how come there's no stick, like we think the 8-speed shifts really quick, and just like that pasted like 200 times.
Yeah, so it feels like the majority of the dollars spent on the Supra after the fact, after the styling and stuff, is in marketing. Is in like spinning it in a positive direction. Because it's clear if there were good answers to these questions, they'd have them. Sure. And it really sounds like they're avoiding them. And so the thing that the like nail in the coffin for me was I loved the bodywork because I thought the vents were real.
Were functional.
And that turned me. It turns out none of the vents are real other than like, the radiator inlet. But it's like, it's got these cool like fender vents and then these behind the door vents and these back. And to me, it was like, that's part of what makes a car age well, because good aero and cooling through the bodywork is a really neat to me.
Yeah, it's not going to get dated.
That's really cool that they did that. I mean, when you can like take air in and move it through the car, and I was like, that's cool. I don't care what people say. Like, that's cool. And then it was like, they're all fake. It's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like I turned so negative, and I was like, the fake vents to me, and it was like, this sounds like a minor thing to get hung up about, but I truly think it is like one of the most embarrassing things you can do to a car is put fake vents on it.
Sure.
It is the equivalent to me of wearing a shirt with like muscles on it. It's that stupid. It's that stupid.
I'm a real tough guy.
Yeah, and like trying to be tough. It's like a shirt with a 6-pack on it. Because you went out of your way. You spent money to look like something.
Yeah.
They put a thing. There's no other purpose.
Right.
Like sometimes they do it because it's like, well, the fender had to be wide, and so like maybe we put a little vent. It's like the most significant styling cues on that car are the vents, and they're fake, and that just turned me super negative.
Yeah. It's almost like they overcompensated because like this is all we really have control of.
Right.
So let's.
But that's
go
crazy to me.
crazy.
Is like if all they did was the styling. Then why did they pull back so hard and make all of it? It's like that was the thing you had control over, and you fucking dropped the ball. So that turned me, honestly, the vents turned me. I went from liking the car a lot to like kind of not liking
Lukewarm.
it because of the vents.
Yeah.
I think it's still cool that they offer it, but it's like I went in pretty positive, and now just watching them try to like spin it, and it's just like, fuck this. It's cool. Thank you for adding another like sporty coupe to the world of enthusiast cars, but it's just a cash grab.
Yeah.
Now it's just like they saw an opportunity, they threw the name on it, and like kind of skewed it toward
What I thought was kind of funny is like one of the big arguments has been like, if we were going to build a Supra, the first thing we knew is it needed to have a straight 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That's fine though.
I mean,
I don't mind.
I understand that, but like,
That wasn't even their decision.
yeah, but I feel like that was just a cover up that like, oh, we're making it's a BMW.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so having a straight 6 was more important than like making a car yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. So I go back and forth. There's parts of it that I like. But at the end of the day, I think I'd just go M2.
Right.
It's
That's
just like,
what we've kind of talked about.
why, especially now that the current M2 comes with the M3 motor.
Right.
It's like you get the better motor. It's a tiny bit more expensive.
It has a back seat.
It has a back seat, and
if you care, it has a BMW badge, which I guess
a
some
stick.
people care about. Oh yeah, of
and
course.
you get
Yeah,
the stick.
right.
And it's just like, I don't know. I honestly, I went into it so positive. I was like, man, Supra, they nailed it. Other than the transmission, which I think they'll remedy. I went kind of negative on it now. So I don't know. Kind of over the thing.
Now we're all in the same boat.
Well,
hate to say
after
it,
thinking
but-
about it a little bit more, I kind of come to the conclusion that it's just, okay, like here's another BMW sports car with a Toyota body. It's kind of, it's like,
It is.
I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
happy that it's here.
Yeah.
The thing that I like about it is like, oh, good, they made a hardtop Z4.
Right.
Because
That's all.
To me, it's like this. The hardtop Z3 was awesome. The clown shoe.
Right.
The hardtop Z4 was awesome
right.
and funky.
Yeah.
And they didn't make one for the latest
yeah.
Z4.
Right.
And it's like, oh, now they do. Like, that's about as excited as I can get about it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, cool, they made a hardtop.
That's pretty much where I am. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, it's so not a Supra.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of a cop out to put the name on it.
Right.
Like,
It is.
people love this name. So like, let's put it on
put it on
something.
there, yeah.
It is. And it's so barely deserving of the name.
Yeah.
It's just like in the press photos, like I'm gonna have John put it right here, where they show like all of the Supras and the new one. It's just like, fuck off with that, man. Fuck off.
Yeah. The latest.
Yeah, we tried really hard.
Heritage,
I mean,
yeah.
I'd love to know the numbers. What was your budget for this car?
Right.
And what was the team?
And it's like, you are
know?
Toyota. Like,
Yeah.
if there's a company that like has the resources and money to knock this thing out of the park.
Well, that's what, like, with that said, I don't think they could have made something. I think it's either this or nothing.
Right. Well,
Because
I would
really,
assume.
it's just like Toyota's not that impressive of a company, truly, today. Like, they're just kind of, I wouldn't say out of touch, but it's like, how could you be a Toyota enthusiast today? Which car?
Yeah, it's all kind of just based on stuff from the past.
Yeah, they have like one good motor, and it's only in Lexus stuff. It's just like, it's like everyone wanted them to come back as the Toyota we used to like.
Right.
But it's like they're just kind of done, man.
Yeah, I think that's why people like. I personally think that the 4th gen Supra is one of the most overrated
Yeah.
performance cars of all time.
Yeah.
But what I do like about that car, and what I think other people like about it, is that car was like Toyota putting all their efforts, all their money, like, we're going after the world.
Here's how hard
with
we can
this.
try.
Right. And this is the result.
Spotlight's on us, and we want it on us.
Right.
And this feels like, please don't put the spotlight. Like, please just buy this thing.
Yeah. It's a Supra. Come on, buy it.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll sell well. And like I said, I don't hate it.
And
but it's like,
I think there's a good chance that in a year or two, there's going to be like the Supra, whatever, like the good version that
Track
everyone,
edition or
just
something.
Yes.
like a wide body, like something with like
Yeah.
500 horsepower. That's like, oh yeah, like that's
I don't know about 500.
500 is pretty easy to get to these
Here
days.
is my hope is that they make the version you're talking about where they take advantage of the bodywork.
right.
Like because they teased a version
like
that has a wide
the
body.
FT1, yeah.
Yeah. Or the Gazoo, like
Right.
that had functional.
Right, all the
It's just
race
like,
car
just do what people want you
Yeah.
to do and charge a bit more. And then you can save it.
Right.
I don't know if they will or not, but it's like, and give it a stick.
Yeah.
Well, if they have 500 horsepower, that'd be fine. Just
Sure.
a stick then. But like, I don't know. I went into it really positive, and like the more I read about what they actually did, I was like, please,
Got
just
brought down.
any part of this. You know, it was just like, it just felt like, oh, look, we've got an opportunity to make some money here.
Yeah.
And they surely put resources into styling it. Like I said, I like that styling, but fake vents, man.
Deal breaker.
It is. Because that just will not age well. They're just, what car ever that has had fake vents?
Yeah.
Right.
Has
Well,
like,
what I was thinking about even more is what car ever that was like made for somebody else has ever been considered like a great timeless car.
you mean the badge remake thing?
right? Like Dodge Stealth. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is there another car like that that's like considered like, well, the badge on it says this, but it was made by
Yeah.
Right.
this is like a Hall of Fame car.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be the one that changes it, but
I think
could be
what
out of it.
I'm not sure if this is true. Here now we're getting into a little opinion speculation.
Sure.
But like I think that this is the difference between Toyota right now and like Dodge, parts of Ford, Chevy with their enthusiast stuff, because it's clearly run by it's clearly passed down from marketing. the Supra, basically.
Right.
Marketing saw an opportunity, and it's like, here's what you got to work with, make it happen.
And here's our most efficient way of putting this product out there.
Whereas like Dodge or Ford will kind of just make a car, and it's like,
and then like let the gearheads kind of.
No, it's more like they have an idea of their target person, and it just, you can feel the decisions being made where it's like, look, some guy's not going to want to drive this thing unless it sounds good,
right?
Like there's just enough decisions made where it's like, look, some guy isn't gonna, like, do we really want the owner to like not start this thing up and have people turn their heads? It's like, it's clearly not built from just a spec sheet.
There's like an emotional.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the decisions made are like, this thing just needs to be cool or whatever, like this thing just needs to be super powerful or whatever. And this car has none of that.
Yeah.
There's nothing about the Supra where it's like, look, the target buyer is a Supra lover, and then it's like, we need to make sure this motor is very tunable. There's just none of those decisions anywhere in it.
Yeah, you could just see like, oh, we can't have tires that wide. You know, like how many rocks they're going to kick up?
It's just like those? The engineers had no choice. It's just like, here's what you got to work with, and like here's what you.
Yeah, here's your little box, and you can play around in this little box a little bit.
There's no part of it where it's like, wow, that's a real kind of irrational decision there.
Yeah,
you know,
that tugs at your heartstrings.
Yeah, it's just like, oh wow, that's a passion. It does not feel like a passion project.
No, not at all.
Whereas the enthusiast stuff coming out of a lot of other companies do.
Right.
It's like, boy, they must have had a blast working on this.
Even I guess the Type R to an extent.
Totally.
You feel like, okay, like
100%,
like Honda was like, here's a Civic, now like do whatever the hell you want with it and make it like special.
They were probably excited. Everyone on that team was probably excited to be on that
I would imagine.
team. And you can say that about a lot of cars.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say that about the Supra.
Right. And it's just like, well, yeah, I just mean like it's not limited to one price bracket. Like you can do that on a pretty cheap car.
Yeah.
You can apply the same kind of things to it.
Other than the style, I don't know, the stylists.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. So mixed feelings about that car. I mean, I guess everyone kind of does.
Yeah. But that actually kind of brings us to at the same Detroit show, Lexus showed the RCF track edition, which I think is pretty. Like that's like one of my favorite like new.
I'm surprised by that. Cars. Yeah, when you said that. Do you like the regular RCF? I thought you.
I like it, but it feels like that track edition kind of like fixes everything that's
really, because I only read one article, but it was like very minor stuff.
I mean, well, it was like almost 200 pounds of weight savings, and like titanium. There's like a bunch of like cool, like the actual cool stuff that you like would have hoped been on the Supra. It's like titanium exhaust, like carbon hood, carbon roof.
Yeah.
Carbon trunk, like carbon GT wing.
Yeah, just special
carbon ceramic brakes.
Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't know the brakes.
Although I assume that thing's going to be expensive. It's probably like $100,000 or close to it.
Yeah, if the brakes are nuts.
But I don't know, like, and we were just kind of talking like that car seems like if Toyota had kept making a Supra. It would kind of just turn into that.
Right.
Well, we've said that before. The like LC500
John
or the RCF. It's like they're coupes, they're GTs, and they have cool motors.
Right.
Like, that's essentially the Supra.
And they should theoretically have Toyota reliability.
Yeah, and they do. That motor's pretty reliable. The ISF had some weird, like small
little minor things.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes, that is the Supra.
Yeah, especially like when I saw that track edition, I was like, damn, I don't know. I really like that car.
Yeah, they are not very moddable.
No, it's kind
of cars are not
out of the box.
Yeah,
but then again,
I
don't think too many cars are designed to be moddable.
No,
Supra, bro.
Yeah,
Supra better be.
Yeah,
that was part of its. That was part of its heritage.
Yeah. Well, I guess like the FRS was supposedly designed to be like that. Like, but then that's a cheap car. Like you buy it cheap and do what you want with it.
Yep.
But I like that RCF anyway. Yeah. Sweet.
With that said, I am. Just going back to the Supra a little bit, I am glad that they picked that BMW motor because I feel like if Toyota had made a motor, it probably would have sucked
from the ground up.
They wouldn't have made one from especially a straight six. They're not going to come up with a new.
No, not for one car.
That's so crazy expensive.
Well, and especially if you go back to the Mark IV, that motor was used in 4 or 5 other cars.
And that motor. Here's the other rant. When people were like, it didn't have the legendary 2JZ. The 2JZ is like the most boring basic motor it's based on like a 60s American straight six. They just like copied it and beefed it up. The motor's boring as shit. It's so basic.
Iron block.
Yeah, it's just crazy strong.
Stout, yeah.
That is all it has going for it, is it's crazy strong.
But there's plenty of motors like that.
Yeah, but there's nothing, it's not remotely exotic.
Yeah, especially by today's standards.
Anyway, yeah, it's like the most exotic thing about it when it came out was that it was dual overhead cam. It's just like, that's not an exotic motor. And so going this route is better because BMW just made, I mean,
that's kind of what they do.
Yeah, they make a killer straight six. So like, I'm kind of glad they did that, because if Toyota did it, it'd probably just be like the V6 out of the 4Runner or something.
But imagine if they had somehow taken their V8, the Lexus V8, and like put a stick behind it.
Yes,
like that would just be like yeah,
done.
That alone, like,
yeah, finished.
Just putting that combo on like pretty much any car.
Yeah, the Super body.
Yeah, fuck, that would be sweet.
Yeah, that motor has never got a stick.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Even like aftermarket, it hasn't.
I think, yeah.
There's no like, I've never heard of like a conversion.
No, I don't know.
I know the 1UZ people put sticks.
Yeah, I don't know how similar it is.
But that motor has like half the power.
Yeah, I don't know, but like they've been making a V8 for a while,
right?
And that V8 is just a high performance variant of whatever, so it makes sense that it exists.
Sure,
but yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think this is the Supra we get, and it makes sense.
The Supra we deserve.
Yeah, this is the Supra we deserve, honestly.
For just being lame people.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I think part of my motivation to like the car and that whole like, what did you want? Is like, how much better do people... It's like they're a business. It's Toyota. They're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, like car companies on the planet.
I think they are the biggest.
It's like they know what they're doing, and they know if they had made some ground up 3JZ, some stupid Cambodian kid on like Honda Tech, still not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Like you think you have a strong argument? Like, as if they would have sold more of them.
There were some, that pretty sweet meme that I sent that was like
starter pack.
Yeah, like hating on the new Supra starting pack.
It's like a credit score of like 500 or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's kind of like the typical thing where the people who complain about it are just like poor 18-year-olds or like jalopnik writers or something. Where it's like, yeah, you're poor. You weren't going to buy it
anyways.
Yeah. And if they had done
let me tell you, first I was going to buy it, but let me tell you.
I'm not going to buy it at 50 grand, but if it was 80 with all these things I requested, which don't fundamentally change the car,
I would have saved up for it.
Yeah, it's like, fuck off. You're not going to buy it. So I don't know. Overall, I'm glad it exists.
Yeah.
And I do think it looks really cool. I truly would have been in the running to buy one if, one, it came with a stick, and two, the bodywork wasn't fucking fake.
The vents. Yeah.
That, honestly, that just turned me off. It's like, I will not. I will not. Because it will likely end up being a good car to own for a long time. It'll likely age well, other than the vents. Now it won't.
Sure.
But it would have.
But you know, what I still don't understand is the Miata, like, the more I see from like the auto industry, the more the Miata like doesn't even make sense. Like, how does Mazda have this like bespoke platform that they use for one car?
Because
I guess technically the Fiat uses the same thing, but it's like, how many Miatas do they sell a year? And like Mazda can build their own sports car from the ground up. Well,
it's not. I don't know that the Miata of today is funded by the Miata of 1990.
Just
it's
on the name.
Yeah, well, it's just like that thing
loyalty.
Was such a success. The original one was a huge success.
Right.
And it's like, you just learn so much from that, that keeping it going is not they're not starting over every time they re-release.
Mechanically they are. I mean, it's like an entirely new platform. I mean, just for a company like Mazda to build, like, we're building a 2-seat Roadster that they sell, I don't know how many, 10,000 a year or something.
Yeah, but I don't think they would have, like, if they didn't make the Miata already, they wouldn't start today. Because it'd be a big undertaking.
If it wasn't just part of their heritage.
Yeah, the amount of just like tribal knowledge floating around of how to make that thing. It's like they're not starting from zero. Yeah. They're not like firing the team every year.
Yeah, it's just like every time like there's some like shakeup in the industry, I always just think about the Miata.
Yeah, it's cool.
When they're like, cool. Whoever's going to stop building these cars because they don't sell. It's like, Mazda builds are like small roadster 2-seater.
Shares nothing.
Yeah, and it's cheap. Like it's not a
cheap and
50,000. Oh yeah,
it's like really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. All right. I think that's enough Supra.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Aside from the Supra Lexus stuff, there was the GT500. Was the other big car.
Right.
Shown last week.
Yeah.
Which I really like that thing.
I like it a lot. I don't. Those cars are not that they're so expensive that they're unrealistic to me, but like I'm just not the type of person that would ever like buy a Z06, maybe an old one just because they're sweet. But that whole like just level of insane performance, I like them, and they're not. It's not the same as like a supercar or something. Where it's like, well, I couldn't even imagine myself in it,
right?
But I don't get like over the top excited for those. I don't dislike it.
But you like the Hellcat a lot.
Yeah, because that's more of like a
road car.
The Hellcat is just like the
muscle
perfect,
car,
like fuck around on the street car. I mean, no one would. I mean, not that you wouldn't track one ever, but like you can totally enjoy that car.
It wasn't really built to like show off the technology that it has.
You can get like 100% enjoyment out of that car by taking it out on like Saturday and Sunday nights and just screwing around and putting it back in your garage. Whereas a GT500, it's like, if you're not tracking that thing, like really,
right.
you know,
might as well just have a Mustang GT.
Yeah. Or a,
350.
No, I was gonna say, or a Z06. It's like, really? Like what? Like that car is just, the performance is kind of inaccessible on the street, where honestly the Hellcats isn't. Like you can access that performance just by like fucking around.
Yeah,
just finding a long stretch.
Yeah, you're probably gonna end up like, you know. Well, I mean, you don't even have to go 100 in that car to enjoy it. You can just get on it for half a second and
feel
enjoy it. Yeah, and I have still not driven a GT350, but I suspect it's harder to enjoy on the street
because you have to push it.
Because it's like all the power's at the top. And it's like really long gears and stuff. So I don't know. That's why I like Hellcat to me. That really appeals to me because it's such a casual enjoyment car.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how much the GT500 is. I guess like 70, 80.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do like it, and I like it more than a Z06. I'd rather have that than a Z06 or a ZR1.
Yeah,
or a ZL1 Camaro.
Or probably a ZL1, just because
the
Mustang,
the platform,
the Camaro. Yeah, it is neat, and I like that it doesn't have a stick. That would kind of ruin that.
Yeah, the transmission's weird. That transmission sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm sure that thing's gonna be pretty awesome. But those cars are like, it's like they're just. There's a big part of it where it feels like they're just designed for a war that the manufacturers are fighting. It's almost like watching football or something, or watching baseball, or like watching professional teams play, where like you're excited about it, but you're not the one playing.
You're not really taking part in it.
Really? It's not like, oh, finally GT500. My prayers are answered for like a track capable Mustang that can run 10s. Like, I've been begging.
Finally, they can beat that ZL1.
For
just been bothering me.
Like, God, I can shut my neighbor up. It's like they are cool and they're fun to own, but it feels like a lot of it is kind of Halo car bragging rights.
Just for the fans.
A little bit, for like forum wars and stuff, where it's like, who is this car for? You know, but I like it. I'm sure it's gonna be stellar. They kind of seem like they're killing it lately. And that will be no exception. I was laughing about, like, I like where that car sits, especially with the GT, because the GT is
the Ford GT, not the Mustang GT.
Yeah, correct. The supercar one. Which, what do those cost? $300,000 or something? They're pretty expensive.
The GT?
Are they that much?
Well, I mean, you can't even buy one. So
sure, assuming you could.
Yeah.
I think they're even
they're like 4 or something.
$500,000.
Jeez.
Damn,
that's the MSRP.
Well, I was going to buy one, but
darn.
Yeah, it's over.
A little rich.
450,000 apparently. I mean, whatever. Have John correct me if I'm wrong. But that car, people were like, it should have a V8. Like, why doesn't it have a V8? And like, because they went with a V6,
right?
Like EcoBoost or whatever. And it's like, but it's still an amazing car. It's like a weapon. But I like that exists. And then I like that now the GT500 is kind of like they make this like crazy track focused supercar. And now they make this like crazy track focused, but like blue collar version of that same thing. Because it's a very similar like genre.
It comes from the same.
It's a track weapon, basically, but it's going to be a quarter of the price. And it'll have a V8. You know, it's like it's answering a lot of the complaints about the GT. But so I like the two of those together. The thing I was laughing about is like they are Halo cars. And even some of the press material called them that. Or it was like, oh, it's a Halo car.
Sorry, this is our new Halo car.
And it's like Halo car is supposed to lure people into the brand. You know, where it's like, like I want this thing, but I'll settle for this. But it's like, well, what does Ford make? And luring people into what? A C-Max? Like the rest of
I went in to check out the Ford GT, drove home with an Escape.
It's like the only thing those are Halo cars for is like a V6 Mustang, I think. Right. Because they killed the rest of the lineup. Basically. It's like they have no other cars and you're not going to like, my F-150. Have you seen the Ford GT? You know, it's like you don't get any brand recognition from this. It's kind of a funny lineup of Halo cars.
I remember the NSX used to be like that, like the old NSX.
And I think it is.
No, but I mean like
the old one, the 90s one.
People would be like, well, I drive a Civic DX with like a mini-me swap. Like Honda made the NSX, and like that shows what VTEC
I think that's fair though. As
the technology's there,
as far away from reality as that is. There you can trace the lineage.
There's a bit,
you know. It's like
there's some
Civic,
DNA.
Well, that's what the Integra Type R was supposed to be. Was like we wanted to show that you can make kind of like NSX flavor with front wheel drive, and they did it. You know, it's like there was. You could connect the dots. I guess that's what I'm saying. You can connect the dots. And GT500 and Ford GT is like connected to what? Outside of the Mustang, nothing. Because you literally killed your entire line of cars. What's the Escape.
What's the new SUV ST? What is it? It's not an Explorer.
Escape.
Oh, it is Escape.
No,
ST.
there's Edge.
Oh, Edge.
And they just showed the Explorer.
The new Explorer
ST.
Dang.
Yeah, they lure
which I think is
with the
cool.
GT500.
Yeah.
I think that is, I do think that's cool, but
I actually like the new Explorer does not that it's really an enthusiast car, but it seems like that seems like Ford kind of focusing on what they're good at.
The Explorer is a product that they should be protecting and putting effort into. Unlike a bad example or an example of them like dropping the ball. And that is the Taurus. Where it's kind of like, here it is. Remember the Taurus? It's like, I guess.
My dad had one as a company car.
It was good
wagon.
once. And then it was bad for a long time. And like now it's bad again. So whatever. Good for them. Related to the Supra though, I guess a phenomenon that we noticed was just the hype of a new car as a product. As a product that the company is offering, which previously, though it may have always existed.
Like you're talking about like in the pre-internet.
Though it may have been a factor in pre-internet days, it is now like the team and resources behind managing the hype of that car was not insignificant.
No.
And even after the fact,
big part of it
is a huge part of it, which to me is, especially with that car in particular, a little offensive because it's like you're managing the hype and the car kind of didn't deliver on that hype. Like you were trying very hard to hype that thing up.
I think the launch of that thing is not great. The way they like showed like 6 different versions. Like here's the camouflaged are you ready? Here it is.
They teased, man.
It's like
teased it for like 6 months.
And it worked. I mean, everyone talked about it. It's not like anyone like, oh, we're not taking that bait. It's like any little scrap of like, I found the part numbers for the lug nuts. Like, there's like 6 articles on the lug nuts. Like, people were just ferociously hungry for any information about that car.
And that kind of led us to talking about how it's like the hype of a car like that is almost a product in itself, like a sellable, marketable, with monetary value.
Totally.
Like,
it made a lot of people a lot of money.
Right. Just generating content. Like some of the stuff seems like such cop-outs. It was like something that's not even related to cars. Like, new Supra or old Supra? Like, which one do you like?
Right.
Chime in and like drive some traffic over here.
Yeah, right.
And it's just like how many views and advertising dollars was generated just by people that'll never buy that car.
Right.
We're never even in the market for a car like that.
I wonder how much that did for Toyota, because we might be answering our own question about why make a new Supra.
Just like, get some ink.
Because compare that to the GT500, a car that is really deserves to be just as exciting.
Yeah.
And you heard very little about it.
Yeah.
It's like they did.
You knew it was coming, but they didn't like constantly like.
They teased a little bit, whether on purpose
like
or
6
not.
months ago, or
you know, and it's like it was here or there, and a lot of their. Anytime I see like, whoops, here's a screenshot like you weren't supposed to see, I'm like, no way, no way you weren't supposed to see that, you know. But like by comparison, the Supra hype, if you could weigh the two in mass, was just like 20x or something, order of magnitude bigger. And so I wonder if Toyota profited from that. Probably. I guess just getting people talking about Toyota. But yeah, it's like a weird product to manage and a like pretty annoying one, honestly.
Sure.
You know, it's like, stop. Like, I'm tired of, because you'll get content, you'll get things being created based on nothing. Like you're saying, like old Supra versus new Supra. It's like they didn't talk about anything new. You just thought of a new angle.
And it's like, well, you know, you could run a blog or whatever and be like, look at all the traffic we got because of these Supras. It's like, you didn't make that. Like, you're just like reporting on the thing, like
regurgitating stuff.
But I guess that's kind of how everything, not just with cars, with everything these days.
Yeah. I just wonder how much,
Well, there were advertisements for the Supra before it was revealed. Like there was first they did the NASCAR one, right? Because isn't there a Supra body style NASCAR?
All the Toyota.
Right. So like they showed off the NASCAR body style, like saying like the new Supra's coming
several months ago.
And then even when it was just the camouflaged version, they had like ads with the camouflaged version in it, which is weird.
See, I just think they knew they knew the amount of revenue and traffic the hype of that car could drive. Because now that it's out, like no one's gonna care.
No.
You know, like, oh, do you want to see the like this comparison? People are like, shut up. Like, you showed your cards, you know,
fired your bullets.
Yeah, you fired it. And it's like, it was smart of them to get what they could. It's like getting people to invest in your gold mine before they like put flashlights in it and realize there's no fucking gold in there. It's like, gather around the new Supra. It's like, then you lift the curtain. It's like, what is this? The vents are fake. You assholes.
It's made in Germany.
It's like, this isn't a Supra. Oh man. So I don't know. That was just, it was an interesting phenomenon because the internet was on fire about that thing.
Yeah.
And look at us. We just sat here for 45 minutes.
We just
doing the
talking
exact
about
same, exact same thing. We just did about.
Stewing.
It's more
Getting heated about it.
It's more bloviating out there in the atmosphere.
Well,
The funny thing is like all the negative aspects of it, I don't think it's going to affect sales at all. Like it's still going to sell like crazy. It's the same thing with the Type R. Like because when the Type R was first revealed, everyone was super negative, but when it came out, it was like impossible to find and it was super marked up.
I think the Type R people just didn't like the way it looks, and they probably still don't.
Right.
The Type R though lives up to the hype.
Yeah.
At its core, that is like that car wins its segment.
Right.
You could kind of argue, but not really.
Sure.
It's like it is better than the competition. They won. That car will go down as one of the greats. You can debate the way it looks and like, oh, the vents, like, well, half the vents fucking are real. So it has that going for it.
And it's the original Civic has fake vents, and so that's what they just built it off of.
I think most of the fake stuff just shares with the normal Civic hatchback.
Yeah, I don't think the Type R deserves the same criticism because it's like anything you point to, they have an answer for.
Yeah.
You know, it's like.
And it kind of like lives up. I think the biggest thing in the U.S., the Type R had never been sold here. The Civic Type R,
Right. Yeah.
and that it lives up to the Type R.
Yeah,
name,
what else could that
legend.
thing have been?
Yeah.
The only complaints about that were like, oh, it doesn't have like a non-turbo mode. It's like, shut up. Like, shut up. You know, it's like, that's not a good complaint.
Yeah.
Whereas the Supra, it's like, there, you can launch some complaints. That's just no matter what, following the act on the Supra is going to be tough because so much of what makes that car popular was after the fact.
Yeah, it was all
It was
legend
after the fact.
Yeah.
And honestly, a Supra today, my brother was asking me, he was like, what do people use Supras for? Like, what were they good for?
Oh, the Mark IV, you mean?
The Mark IV.
Yeah.
And my answer was honestly, and it's like, this is the answer, is for a while, for a period of years where they weren't so expensive that you shouldn't drive them, they were really good for highway roll racing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
about
where they
it.
built there.
Yeah, because you can't launch them.
Yeah.
There's a joke where it's like, what does a 400 horsepower and an 800 horsepower Supra have in common? They both run 12 or something. Because it's like, they're not, like that car basically gave birth to the term Dyno Queen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because driving a high horsepower Supra.
They put a huge single turbo on it that like.
Yeah, it's like they make big money. The claim to fame about that car, and this is why I originally liked the new one, is that all that car had going for it was that the motor would not explode when you put a ton of boost through it. That was all it had going for it. There was not much else.
Yeah.
There's not much else that, like on paper, the new one is better in every way than a stock Mark IV. It's like it's better.
Right.
They made it better. It's faster. It'll embarrass that thing. And but a Mark IV has just become, it's like the after the fact stuff that Toyota really had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
It became this crazy thing.
Well, the funny thing about the Mark IV is that it's not even really that much different than the Mark III, which is just kind of like it's considered a ho-hum.
Yeah, they fixed the motor. The 7M wasn't like crazy reliable.
And
They just
the head gasket was
it.
kind of weak. But like the same exact formula, just slightly refined.
Yeah. It's
and
like
a fucking icon.
Yeah, icon. And it's like, this car is in a lot of ways, it's like, they're kind of dumb. A Mark IV Supra in a lot of ways, kind of dumb. It's like, I just like, my image of that car is like, like it's just like some loser guy who's into that thing for either roll racing or just telling people he has a Supra.
Right.
Is like, he makes 600 horsepower. He has a really loud blow off valve.
Yeah.
And like he runs a big turbo. They're not good for anything. They're freaks.
Sure.
You know, it's like they're freak
Like,
cars.
you don't see them at the track or anything.
Right.
Yeah, they're not good track cars. They're not good drag cars. It's like you can make, but the motor won't explode.
Right,
No
right.
matter what, the motor and reasonably the stock drivetrain won't explode. So you can get them to do incredible things.
The coolest Supras are like the old Japanese like Super GT cars, which like aren't even really like Supras underneath.
Do those even have straight sixes?
Yeah,
I kind of think they use the four cylinder.
it's all like,
3SGT.
and it's like tubular. But they look sweet.
Yeah, they do look sweet. But that's what I mean when it's just back to the like Cambodian, like little Twinkie kid on Supra forums, like typing up a storm about how the new car's a failure. It's like, what was a Mark IV Supra?
Right.
It's really just a fashion.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a
Especially nowadays.
fashion icon. It's a snappy haircut. Because if you ever see like the Supra crew at a car show, you know, it's like, what do you guys do with these things other than like spool
Take
your
them to car
turbos
shows.
Yeah.
in like second gear on the highway? Like, that stupid blow off valve sound. It's like it's such a like trying to then trying to follow that,
Right.
and then the company that had nothing to do with that culture that was built around it trying to follow it,
Right.
like, they're doomed to fail.
Right. There's no way to win
In
that.
some ways, they were smart to spend as little as possible launching this thing because no matter what, it was going to be a failure.
Right.
The Toyota Corolla like Supra edition.
Yeah, they just should have. It's like they nailed it in some ways because they knew the internet would go nuts.
And I guess
for that thing.
one way we can close this out is the other day we were texting. We have like a group text that we
Yeah.
You just shoot ideas and dumb thoughts.
Yeah, right. The Car Bros group text.
Back and forth. And we were talking about like how the old Supra, or I was talking about how the old Supra was like really fast for its day.
Yeah, when it was launched.
Like it was like as fast as like, whatever 911 turbo. And I like sent the text that was like, yeah, but wasn't the Mark IV like as fast as a fucking ZR1 or something? When it was new, and then like I had accidentally sent it to my wife because she was like asking me like if she needed anything from the store.
Yeah.
So I was like, wasn't the Mark IV as fast as a fucking ZR1 when it was new? And then like a couple minutes later, she's like, I think you sent this to the wrong group. And I was like, oh yeah,
possibly.
But wasn't it?
Yeah, you're sitting there. Yeah. Do you agree?
You're waiting there. You're waiting for the answer.
Yeah, lean into it.
Yeah. No, that was meant for you.
I want to know.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
Do you think, what are they going to do with the Supra 5-10 years? Do you think they'll make a Mark 6, or do you think they'll just sell it for 10 years like an FRS and then?
I really don't know.
Ask BMW.
Yeah.
I really don't know. It like everyone's dream is that they do what you're talking about. They make some cool version.
Right.
Like this is just the appetizer.
You would hope that this was a foundation that feels like such a fantasy that I don't believe it. I feel like they're probably just going to like tweak this one.
Well, they always thought that they would come out with
an FRS.
Yeah, they were going to come out with like a turbo FRS, and they didn't. So
they don't have a good track record for like doing what the public wants. Because I mean, I don't know, it's tough. It's such an emotional car that like it's hard to tell what's going to actually make them money.
Yeah,
and they're only going to do what makes them money, what clearly will make them money. So we'll see. It'll be exciting to see. I'm stoked to see him on the road.
Who knows? Maybe you'll drive one and be like, holy shit, this thing is like fucking amazing.
I do think it will be a good driving car. I don't think it's gonna.
There's no reason for it not to be.
Yeah, the early reviews of the Z4, like I said, were like, yeah, great. This is like solid, and I think it will be really good. That's what I mean. It'll be good.
Yeah,
I still think it's a good car. It's just not the. With some small changes, I think they could.
It's like it's a good car that's kind of like deceiving because of all the stuff they tried to graft onto.
Yeah, because
the
lineage, because of the stuff that wasn't.
It's just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, like that car would have been so much better received if it was called like the Venom,
right? Yeah,
Toyota Venom.
Yeah, just like the whatever, or like the Soarer. They just brought back some other thing that people aren't like
super into,
crazy attached to.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, calling it.
Well, before we sign off, keeping with our pattern
fast
of
food.
Oh, that's right.
Fast food debates.
I just want to take.
So are we going to try to add a little take?
I just want to add 120 seconds.
For those of you that are still with us.
If you're still with us, all 12 of you, Chick-fil-A. What do we think? Because in my opinion, it's the bomb.
I think it's pretty terrible.
Really?
Yeah. When you added this, I was like, "Fuck Chick-fil-A."
Yeah, we have like a list of podcast potential topics that we add to, and I put like Chick-fil-A, super good,
Supra GT500.
Immediately
Chick-fil-A.
after that, yeah.
And then underneath it, somebody was like, "Chick-fil-A's gross." Who said that? We didn't talk for
fight
days.
you on this, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's that good.
I have like no strong like I've been there a few times and it's just fine, like chicken.
Yeah, I always thought the chicken was just mediocre.
I wouldn't go out of my way to eat it.
The only selling point is that it has a bunch of sauces to cover up the terrible chicken.
No, I go no sauce.
You go no sauce. Huh?
Damn.
The worst part about Chick-fil-A is almost every time I want it, weirdly, is on Sunday.
Yeah,
and they're closed.
The one day they're closed. Yeah,
fuck. Yeah,
that's just one of those restaurants. It's nuts. Like you see the drive-through. Maybe it's just because how many Chick-fil-A's are there around here? Just one or two?
I think there's two.
It's just it's one of those things where like the drive-through is like 30 cars deep, and it's like God, how
there's two of them in the city of like 700,000 people or something.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence that the drive-through's backed up, not because it's a superior product. Okay, well,
let us know what you think about.
Let us know what you think about Chick-fil-A. Who cares about the Supra?
Yeah, right. that was just a waste.
We've already covered that.
Let's just delete. Let's just cut out all that Supra talk. This is just about Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, fast food bros. Spin-off podcast that we're starting. Thank you for being here. If you could take a moment to rate this podcast on iTunes, that would be a big help.
Yes, there's some sweet ones on there already.
Yeah, there are some sweet ones. I didn't prepare any, but I should have read them off.
Or share it with some friends. Friends.
Yeah, just word of mouth.
Get it out there.
Word of mouth. But apparently, I only say that because apparently if you rate the podcast on iTunes, it helps it show up in like when people search for
The
things.
automotive,
Like, we don't actually care.
Yeah.
It apparently it helps. So take a couple seconds, scroll down, rate it, whatever. I didn't think you need to leave.
It takes like
comment.
literally like 20 seconds, I think.
So please. But thank you for listening. Thanks for putting up with us about an episode that is now a week late.
Mike finally got to his say in on the Supra
That
after
was therapeutic.
Yeah.
I got a lot
a
of
little venting.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks for being here. See you next week. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
See you.
See ya.
Happy Super.